How to naturally boost your immune system against C-19 and the flu. The body, what the body needs to function, your immune system and its functions, history of herbal medicine, herbal remedies, and conclusion. The body. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. Psalms 139:14. What is under the hood? What is inside the body? If you look at both images, you can see that under the hood of a car, everything fits perfectly. There's just enough room for everything to fit perfectly. That's the same way the body works as well. There's just enough room for each organ, your bowels, everything to fit perfectly. What makes up the body? Digestive and intestinal system, which is the mouth, esophagus, stomach, and intestines. The hepatic system, which is the liver. Immune system, protein, cells, organs, and tissues. Nervous system, which is the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. Glandular and endocrine system, thyroid, pituitary, hypothalamus, pineal, parathyroid, adrenals, pancreas, thymus, ovaries, and testes. Urinary system is the bladder and the kidneys. Circulatory system, heart, blood, vessels. Respiratory system, nose, trachea, and lungs. Skeletal system, bones. Muscular system, muscles. So my friend here with the reminder, that's letting us know that every time you see that reminder, that there will be different points that he wants us to keep in mind. So this first point here means digestion starts in the mouth and not the gut. Mucous membranes. Mucous membranes line the many cavities and tubes in the body, such as the respiratory tract, mouth, nose, trachea, lungs, stomach, intestines, eyelids, urinary, and genital passages. The role of the mucous membranes is to protect the body from the harmful external agents and to keep these structures moist and well lubricated. Because of its dense structure, the epithelial tissues in the mucous membranes forms a barrier which prevents pathogens from entering. Mucous membranes secrete mucus, a viscous substance that keeps them constantly slightly moist. This thick gel produced by the cells in the epithelial tissue called goblet cells contains natural antibiotics called defensins. Thus, any pathogens, virus, bacteria, etc., that attempt to penetrate the mucous membranes are both caught in the mucus and attacked by the defensins. Only the mucous membranes of the urinary tract are free of mucus because they are constantly soaked in urine, which is sterile. The mucous membranes in the digestive tract are capable of absorbing part of the nutrients to transfer them elsewhere in the body. It also prevents stomach acid from damaging the stomach wall. In the lungs, it moistens inhaled air and traps smoke and other foreign particles in the airways to keep them out of the lungs. Mucous membranes protect the inside parts of your body that are exposed to air in the same way your skin protects your body, your external body. What the body needs to function. Vitamins and minerals. We have vitamin A, B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B9, and B12, vitamin C, D, E, and K. So vitamins are essential nutrients your body needs to perform various functions optimally in the body. Vitamins are divided into two groups, water soluble and fat soluble. Water soluble vitamins needs regular and daily replacement. Fat soluble vitamins needs to be consumed with fat to be properly used by the body. They are stored in the liver and fatty tissues that are slowly eliminated, but stress will deplete these vitamins very quickly depending on the person and the stress level. Fat-soluble vitamins are stored for a long period of time and can pose a greater risk for toxicity when taking these vitamin supplements in mega doses. There is no evidence to suggest toxicity if the source of these vitamins are naturally derived from food. Vitamins A, which is retinol, D, E, and K are fat-soluble vitamins, and vitamins B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6, B7, B9, and B12, and C are water soluble. Water soluble vitamins are also depleted with stress, too much caffeine, too much sugar, alcohol, and must be replaced daily. So if you look at this figure here, it shows the Egyptian society and how it was structured like a pyramid. So if you look at the pyramid, you will see that it actually resembles a food pyramid. So if you see at the very bottom, they have the enslaved people, and of course, as you get to the top, there's the king. So as you can see in this food pyramid, that the enslaved people got the bread and the grains, and of course, on the left, well, on both pyramids, you see that the bottom one is the bread, grains, and vegetables. And on the left pyramid, you see the top portion of the pyramid is where all your meat and fish and all of that is. So as you look at the different vitamins and minerals that the body needs to survive and be healthy. So you see our buddy here that's letting us know that to don't be deceived, that B12 is only found in animal foods. A B12 deficiency can be caused by a vegan vegetarian diet, certain medications, metformin and acid drugs for heartburn, and weight loss surgery that removes the portion of the bowel that absorbs B12. B12 deficiency can also cause severe mental illness, including depression, central nervous system disorders, paranoia, neuropathy, and even symptoms resembling schizophrenia. So looking here at this food pyramid, it shows how we should eat. And we should make sure that the bulk of our food is naturally sourced meats, eggs, and dairy. Fruits and vegetables should always be bought locally and only when they are in season. Animal fats, butter, coconut oil, and ghee should be used only for cooking. Fats do not make you fat. When the body is getting sufficient fats from the diet, the body will begin to shed stored fat. Plus, it will keep the blood sugar stable to keep the body from overproducing the hormone insulin. Olive oil is also a good source of healthy fat, but it should never be heated and it should be pure. So this is here is we're talking about cholesterol, and cholesterol is a soft waxy substance that sticks closer than any brother, but it won't clog your arteries. So of course we need cholesterol in the body to help form different hormones as far as progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, and all of that. And also, too, I know cholesterol gets a bad rep in regards to it causing heart disease. But cholesterol is used by nerve cells in the brain, and about 25% of the body's cholesterol is found in the brain. According to the medical community, cholesterol in the brain promotes neurogenesis, or birth of new cells. The human brain is made up of fat, and most of the brain's cholesterol is found in the myelin sheath. The myelin sheaths are sleeves of fatty tissue that protect your nerve cells, which is part of your central nervous system, that carries messages back and forth between your brain and the rest of your body. Cholesterol moves freely through the body in search of things to repair and to carry out essential functions in the body. Cholesterol is the precursor for all the hormones made in the body. Cholesterol is used for producing the stress hormone cortisol. When someone is under stress, cholesterol is sent to the adrenal glands. LDL carries cholesterol from the liver to the adrenals to help people handle stress. This is also called bad cholesterol, quote unquote. HDL takes the remaining cholesterol back to the liver for recycling, which we know as the good cholesterol, quote unquote. This would also mean that cholesterol is much needed in production of sex hormones for both males and females, like I mentioned before, the testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen. Cholesterol is found not only in your bloodstream, but also in every cell in your body, where it helps to produce cell membranes. This would be the cause of erectile dysfunction or reproductive issues when cholesterol can be too low, or even when you are not taking enough cholesterol through the diet. Even though cholesterol is made by the liver, but also getting cholesterol through your diet is also a good way to keep the liver from overproducing cholesterol. Cholesterol cannot be measured by a mere number as a measuring stick for the entire population. Cholesterol is nothing to fear; it is there to help. So we see our friend here that's letting us know that mother's milk is essentially rich in cholesterol and contains lipase enzymes to ensure that the baby absorbs 100% of this nutrient. Babies and children lack the enzymes to make cholesterol and require cholesterol-rich foods throughout their growing years to ensure proper development of brain and nervous system. Statin drugs or cholesterol-lowering drugs have been known to cause heart failure, muscle pain and weakness, neuropathy, cancer, pancreatitis, and depression. So this is the this is the, I would say, like the evil twin brother of cholesterol, which is phytosterols. Now, not all phytosterols are evil, but that's the real culprit of heart disease, and this information was taken from healthline.com. So, phytosterols or plant sterols are a family of molecules related to cholesterol. They are found in the cell membranes of plants where they play important roles, just like cholesterol in humans. Although people have evolved to function with both cholesterol and phytosterol in their system, your body prefers cholesterol. In fact, if you have two enzymes, you have two enzymes called sterolins that regulate which sterols can enter your body from the gut. Only tiny amounts of phytosterols pass through compared to around 55% of cholesterol. However, in comparison to modern diets, this is not entirely true. Vegetable oils are very high in phytosterols because these oils are added to many processed foods. The total dietary intake of phytosterols is probably greater than ever before. Cereal grains also contain modest amounts of phytosterols and can be a major source for people who eat a lot of grains. What's more, is phytosterols are added to margarines, which are then labeled lowering, quote unquote, and claimed to help prevent heart disease. However, this assertion is suspicious. Phytosterols can reduce quote unquote bad cholesterol levels by around 10%. However, this may not improve your heart health. Many people assume that phytosterols can prevent heart attacks because they lower cholesterol, yet no studies include or indicate that phytosterols can lower your risk of heart disease, strokes, or death. Ironically, phytosterols may increase your risk. Numerous human studies link high phytosterols intake with an increased risk of heart disease. Additionally, among people with heart disease in a large Scandinavian study, those with the most phytosterols were most likely to get another heart attack. In another study in men with heart disease, those with the highest risk of heart attack were at 3 times greater risk if they had high concentrations of phytosterols in the blood, even though many health authorities like the American Heart Association still recommend phytosterols to improve heart health. Others disagree. So keep in mind that a rare genetic condition called phytosterolemia or cystosterolemia makes some people absorb large amounts of phytosterols into their bloodstream. This increases heart disease risk. However, the modern diet now contains naturally high amounts, largely due to the consumption of refined vegetable oils and fortified foods. While high intake of phytosterols is claimed to be heart healthy, evidence suggests that they are more likely to cause heart disease than prevent it. So we see our buddy here. That's the reminder is letting us know that the president of the American Heart Association, cardiologist Dr. John Warner, suffers a heart attack at age 52. Good rest is more than just sleep. So if you look at the right here, you see what is called our circadian rhythm. So it actually shows during those specific times when we're resting at night and even during the times during the day when the different parts of the body are regenerating. So the internal clock that regulates the 24-hour cycle of biological processes in humans, plants, and animals. Disruption in rhythms usually have a negative effect in the short term. A number of sleep disorders are associated with irregular or pathological functioning of the circadian rhythms. The organ timetable shows when the system is most actively rebuilding. Getting a good night's rest is so important after a stressful day. Your immune system and its functions. A collection of cells and proteins that works to protect the body from potentially harmful infectious microorganisms, such as bacteria, viruses, and fungi. The immune system also plays a role in the control of cancer and is responsible for the phenomena of allergies, hypersensitivity, and rejection problems with organs and tissues are transplanted. A newborn child is protected against infection by barriers such as the skin, by substances in the mouth, in the urinary tract, or on the eye surface that destroys microorganisms, and by antibodies or immunoglobulins, protective proteins that have been passed to the child from the mother, including those who received in breast milk. Natural or innate immunity is present from birth, as is the first line of defense against the vast majority of infectious agents. Acquired immunity is the second line of defense. It develops either through exposure to invading microorganisms after they have broken through the innate immune defenses. Immune system organs. The organs of the immune system are the thymus, spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, Peyer's patches, appendix, and bone marrow. By means of the circulatory system, blood cells which originate in bone marrow communicate with every available space in the body. Only lymphocytes, which are white blood cells, travel in lymphatic vessels. In addition to these defined collections of organs of the immune system, the skin is considered as a first line of defense. It possesses additional lymphocyte and plasma cell reinforcements just beneath the epithelium. Connected by lymphatic and blood vessels, the immune system forms an ever present network throughout the body. Lymph nodes and Peyer's patches. So lymph nodes vary considerably in size from microscopic to about 1 inch in diameter. Each node consists of a thin fibrous outer capsule and an inner mass of lymphoid tissue. Penetrating the capsule are several small lymphatic vessels which carry lymph into the gland, and a single large vessel which carries it out. Lymphoid tissue forms antibodies and houses lymphocytes, both of which play a very important role in fighting infection. Lymph nodes also contain macrophages, large cells that engulf bacteria and other foreign particles. The nodes act as a barrier to the spread of infection, destroying or filtering out bacteria before they can pass into the bloodstream. Excuse me. Lymph nodes are placed strategically throughout the body where they provide protection against environmental pathogens. The gut represents a potential entry site for a wide range of pathogens, including protozoa, bacteria, viruses, or fungi. Consequently, it is protected by one of the largest and most diversified population of immune cells of the body, called Peyer's patches, named after the 17th century Swiss anatomist Johann Conrad Peyer. They are an important part of the gut, associated with lymphoid tissue, usually found in humans in the lowest portion of the small intestine, mainly in the distal jejunum and the ileum, but also could be detected in the duodenum. The thymus and spleen. So the thymus plays a part in the body's immune response from above the 12th week of gestation until puberty. The gland gradually enlarges until puberty, when it begins to shrink. The function of the thymus is to cause lymphocytes, white blood cells, to become T cells, one of the two main classes of lymphocytes, a type of white blood cell. T cells play an important role in the body's immune system against infection and against cancer cells. These T cells play an important part in the body's defense against viruses and other infections. The spleen removes and destroys worn out red blood cells and helps fight infection. One of the two main functions of the spleen is to control the quality of circulating red blood cells. It accomplishes this by removing and breaking down all worn out red blood cells approximately 120 days after they have been produced in the bone marrow, and by destroying other red blood or red cells that are defective. The other role of the spleen is to fight infection by producing some of the antibodies, phagocytes, and lymphocytes that destroy invading microorganisms. In the fetus, the spleen produces red blood cells. After birth, this function is taken over by the bone marrow. Despite its extraordinary function, the spleen is not considered an quote unquote essential organ. If it's removed, its activities are largely taken over by other parts of the lymphatic system, although the individual is more susceptible to infection. Tonsils and bone marrow. So, a pair of oval masses at the back of the throat. The tonsils are made of lymphoid tissue and form part of the lymphatic system, which is an important part of the body's defense against infection. Along with the adenoids at the base of the tongue, the tonsils protect against upper respiratory tract infections. The tonsils gradually enlarge from birth, reach their maximum size at about age 7, and then shrink substantially. The soft fatty tissue found in bone cavities is made by red or yellow it may be red or yellow. Red bone marrow is a blood producing tissue present in all bones at birth. During the teens, it is gradually replaced in some bones by less active yellow marrow. In the adult, red marrow is confined chiefly to the spine, sternum, ribs, clavicle, scapulae, hips, bones, and skull bones. Red bone marrow is the factory for most of the blood cells, all the red cells, and platelets, and most of the white cells. Stem cells within the red marrow are stimulated to form blood cells by uh, e- erythropoietin, a protein secreted by the kidneys that increases the rate of production of red blood cells in response to falling levels of oxygen in the tissues. A hormone originating in the kidney. So, blood cells go through various stages of maturation in the red marrow before they are ready to be released into circulation. Yellow marrow produces some white cells, but is composed mainly of connective tissue and fat. So we have our buddy here that's letting us know or giving us a reminder that he found a quote from the book of General Immunology by Edwin L. Cooper that states there are reports of an increased incidence of paralytic poliomyelitis following tonsilloadenoidectomy, suggesting that removal of tonsils in young children will impair the anti-polio immune mechanism that may be present in the respiratory tract. It has also been suggested that the incidence of Hodgkin's disease may be higher among tonsillectomized individuals. So the appendix. The appendix is a narrow, small finger-shaped tube branching off the large intestine. In adults, it is usually 3.5 inches long and it contains a large amount of lymphoid tissue, which provides a defense against local infection. This organ is also said to have no known function in the body by the medical community, which is why this immune organ is usually removed without hesitation. The lining of the appendix is filled with lymphatic tissue, which includes antibodies. So, antibodies are a protein that is manufactured by lymphocytes, a type of white blood cell, to neutralize an antigen, which is a toxin or foreign protein in the body. Bacteria, viruses, and other microorganisms commonly contain many antigens. Antibodies formed against these antigens help the body neutralize or destroy the invading microorganisms. So, our reminder buddy is telling us that antibiotics are the exact opposite of antibodies, which your own body makes. Anti means against, so your body will make antibodies to destroy any virus or bacteria that goes against your body. Biotic means relating to or resulting from living things, especially in their ecological relation. Antibiotics are against living things and their environment or surroundings. Antibiotics not only destroy the beneficial gut bacteria, but it destroys an entire ecosystem of living organisms that work synergistically with the body for health and healing. So, this information was taken from WebMD. So, bacteria live throughout your body, but the ones in your gut may have the biggest impact on your well being. They line your entire digestive system. Most live in your intestines and colon. They affect everything from your metabolism to your mood to your immune system. Research suggests the gut bacteria in healthy people are different from those with certain diseases. People who are sick may have too little or too much of a certain type, or they may lack a wide variety of bacteria. It's thought some kinds may protect against ailments. Scientists have begun to draw this links between the following illnesses and the bacteria in your gut: obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Your gut bacteria affects your body's metabolism. They determine things like how many calories you get from food and what kinds of nutrients you draw from it. Penicillin. G, medication insert. So this is a medication insert that I found online for penicillin. So you can take the time to kind of look over this medication insert. But the one thing that I did want to highlight is that where it talks about the Clostridium difficile, which is associated with diarrhea and has been reported with use of nearly all antibacterial agents, including penicillin G potassium injection, and may range in severity from mild diarrhea to fatal colitis. Treatment with antibacterial agents alters the normal flora of the colon, leading to overgrowth of C. difficile. So, history of herbal medicine. So, as everyone knows, herbs are not drugs, and of course, herbs cannot be considered drugs. Um, According to the FDA, um, because it's been set up to where herbs cannot be listed to cure or prevent any disease. Only pharmaceutical drugs are able to have that label. So, um, basically, here where it's talking about how drugs cover up or suppress symptoms without ever addressing healing the underlying cause. Um, Herbal medicines not only provide nutrients, but when needed, they also strengthen and support the action of the digestive system, speeding up the rate of processing food and improving the absorption of nutrients. A drug for high blood pressure, for example, does not address the underlying cause. High blood pressure is only a symptom of a primary issue. It simply lowers the blood pressure, leaving the disease untouched. With the symptoms suppressed, the patient is lulled into a state of complacency. The disease is allowed to progress until it raises its ugly head again in the form of additional and usually more serious symptoms. At the point more drastic measures such as bypass surgery are employed. Natural health natural health when used correctly, address the cause of disease. People who use herbs need to remember that there can be a healing crisis that goes with their use. Herbs should be used in conjunction with a lifestyle change where the whole individual is treated and not just the symptom or the disease. This is also known as holistic medicine, where treatment of the whole person, mind, and body, and not by organ system or symptom. So, wild yam is an herb or a root, and actually, this is where wild yam root was made from the first contraceptive pill. So, they made the first contraceptive pill using wild yam root. So people should be aware of the dangerous side effects of drugs. North America started moving toward the sciences, and the medical community began calling herbs and vitamins unscientific and unconventional. They state that there is no scientific evidence to prove the continual use of them. This is what they would like you to believe, but we know otherwise. Herbal medicine is the oldest form of healthcare known to mankind, even from Hezekiah being healed with a lump of figs to recover, or a lump of fig leaves to recover from his boil. Herbs cannot be patented because it is God given and found in nature, so the medical community can't make money from their use. Many conventional medications were originally derived from plants. Salicylic acid is found in aspirin that is derived from white willow bark. Cinchona bark is the source of quinine, which they use to fight malaria. Um, Vincristine is used to treat certain types of cancers that is derived from periwinkle. Herbs used in its whole state have no side effects, but when herbs are isolated for its constituents, then that is where the problem lies. The first U.S. pharmacopoeia was published in 1820. This volume included an authoritative list of herbal medicines with descriptions of their properties, uses, dosages, and tests of purity. It was periodically revised and became the legal standard for medical compounds in 1906. As Western medicine evolved from an art to sorcery, I mean science, once scientific methods were developed to extract and synthesize the active ingredients in plants, pharmaceutical laboratories took over from providers of medicinal herbs as the producers of drugs. The use of herbs, which for the most of history had been mainstream medical practice, but began to be considered unscientific or at least unconventional and fall into relative obscurity. Herbs are nothing new. They have been in use for thousands of years in every culture of the world. Herbs work in sync with the body in the healing process. The U.S. put laws into effect to regulate drugs versus herbs. The Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994 show exactly how government classifies medicines, foods, and herbs. The Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994 instructed that the FDA regulate dietary supplements as foods rather than drugs, which is also the reason why herbs may not claim to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease, although they do cure, treat, and prevent disease. So, herbs are just that, herbs. No hidden agenda. So herbs are just that, herbs, nothing more, nothing less. They can be bought directly or picked from the dirt right outside your door. There is no hidden agenda with herbs. You know what you are getting. When herbs are used in its whole state, there are no harmful side effects. Herbs don't come with a warning label. You don't need a prescription from your doctor to get the true medicine that was given to us by the Almighty God. The caduceus is the traditional symbol of Hermes and features two snakes winding around an often winged staff. Hermes, Mercury, and Baphomet are the same god. He is a god of financial gain, commerce, eloquence, messages, communication, including divination, travelers, boundaries, luck, trickery, and thieves. He also serves as a guide of souls to the underworld. The caduceus is used as a symbol in healthcare, organizations, and medical practice. The word sorceries, when taken back to the original Greek transcripts of the Bible, is translated in as pharmakia, the use or the administering of drugs, poisoning, sorcery, magical arts, often found in connection with idolatry and fostered by metaph, the deceptions and seductions of idolatry. Pharmakia and its related words from pharmakias, pharmakon, pharmakos, and pharmakai are the words from which we get the modern English words pharmacy, pharmaceutics, pharmaceutical, pharmacist, pharmacopoeia, pharmacology, pharmaceuticals, and what this tells us is that pharmaceutical medicine is sorcery. So, pharmaceuticals lower the immune response. Taking medicine, prescription, and over the counter drugs will lower the body's natural immune response, which is why the body is able to break down more easily, hence the side effects of the medication used. Pharmaceuticals are not natural to the body and causes stress on the organs and glands. As you know, stress in the body will cause a depletion of our vitamins and minerals. So when we take prescription drugs, it starts the process of slowly breaking down the body over time. How fast the stress begins to deplete our vitamins and minerals depends on the person and their genetic makeup. The body will begin to break down and show signs and symptoms of deterioration until death occurs. Pharmaceuticals were never meant to heal, cure, or treat anything. It is all about money and how much they can get from you before you take your last breath. Always request the medication insert of any prescription that you are taking. This is where you will find real information of its side effects. Herbal medicine remedies. So, medicine found in your kitchen. So, as you look over these different um, herbs and spices, that actually is very healing to the body. So I'll allow you some time to kind of look over just the cayenne and garlic and cloves and onions. Like if you have this stuff, like you have a lot of this stuff already in your kitchen, that will actually help with a lot of different ailments and issues that we would end up going to the emergency room for. So herbal plant medicine. So I listed just a few herbs here to let you know what the benefits of taking these particular herbs are, and just what are their uses. So you could take a few minutes to look at this here. And of course, you can always go back and look at it. So, and this is just more herbal medicine and its benefits. So, during that time of 2020, when things drastically changed, I noticed the name Fauci, and I remembered him from the AIDS epidemic and just the whole fiasco that went with that. But um, and also with um, the hepatitis B vaccine that was given to a lot of the um, gay population during that time, and the medicine that they were giving the people that were considered homosexual at that time to help with the diagnosis of them catching HIV or AIDS. But so I enlisted this scripture because it kind of put things into perspective in the sense of we're not just dealing with regular people here. Like, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's Ephesians 6 and 12. So this information was actually found on Wikipedia and FortRuss.com. So this is basically talking about Fauci, which he was a leading researcher during the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. And of course, as they showed here, as they use novel virus for C19, they also use novel virus for the AIDS epidemic as well. But Anthony Fauci has held the top post at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease for 36 years. Um, so as they say, he is well past retirement age at 79, but he's probably like 80 or 80 something now. But it and holds the funds to determine which drug companies or university researchers will get precious government funds or not from NIAID's annual $5 billion budget. So this goes back to, just talking about the like Fauci, and just from him starting with the AIDS epidemic. And as you can see here, further down where I highlighted the PCR test, they also use the PCR test or viral load test as the two major tests used to determine if one had AIDS. And like they said, those tests are invalid. None of these tests detect the HIV virus itself, nor do they detect HIV particles. They add that there are more than 70 different documented conditions that can cause the antibody test to react positive with an HIV infection. Among the false positive cases are influenza, the common cold, leprosy, or the existence of pregnancy. The same tests are used today to determine SARS-CoV-2 positive test. So in October 2019, Fauci and his NIAID got $100 million from the Gates Foundation to develop gene-based therapies for HIV and sickle cell disease. In 2012, Fauci was named one of the 5 leadership councils of the Gates Foundation, created Global Vaccine Action Plan. So this was taken from FortRuss.com. So he's also, as you can see, like it shows, like how a normal blood cell look versus a sickle blood cell. So as they showed here, that he's also over sickle cell. And there's information down here that, now this was taken from Wikipedia, that Fauci is an Italian surname and it is derived from the Sicilian word for sickle and originated as an occupational surname referring metonymically to makers of sickles. Metonymy is a figure of speech in which a thing or concept is referred to by the name of something closely associated with that thing or concept. So as you can see, who carries a sickle when the harvest is ripe? So, Viruses, Lethal Monsters, Chapter 1 of Virus Mania by Torsten Engelbrecht and Klaus Conline. This is copyright 2007. So this is an excerpt from the book called Virus Mania. So it says the number of inconsistencies that arise from the theory of death-bringing viruses is illustrated by the smallpox epidemic, which even today people like to draw upon to stir up epidemic panic. But was smallpox really a viral epidemic that was successfully empowered by vaccines? Medical historians doubt this, writes journalist Neil Miller in his book Vaccines. Are they really safe and effective? Not only were there no vaccines for scarlet fever or the Black Plague, and these diseases disappeared all the same. For example, in England, prior to the introduction of mandatory vaccinations in 1953, there were two smallpox deaths per 10,000 inhabitants per year, but at the beginning of the 1870s, nearly 20 years after the introduction of mandatory vaccines, which had led to a 98% vaccination rate, England suffered 10 smallpox deaths per 10,000 inhabitants annually, 5 times as many as before. The smallpox epidemic reached its peak after vaccinations had been introduced, summarizes William Farr, who was responsible for compiling statistics in London. From an orthodox view, the picture on the Philippines was no less contradictory. The islands experienced their worst smallpox epidemic at the beginning of the 20th century, even though the vaccination rate was at almost 100%. And in 1928, a paper was finally published in the British Medical Journal that disclosed that the risk of dying from smallpox was 5 times higher for those who had been vaccinated than for those who had not. And so this is continued from the book Virus Mania. It is also conceivable that toxic drugs like poppers or immunosuppressive medications like antibiotics and antivirals could trigger what is called oxidative stress. This means that the body's ability to transport oxygen, so important for life and survival of cells, is compromised. Simultaneously, nitric oxides are produced, which can severely damage cells. As a result, antibody production is stirred up, which in turn causes the antibody test to come out positive. Also, new genetic sequences are generated through this, which are then picked up by the PCR test. All this, mind you, without a pathogenic virus that attacks from the outside. So, coronavirus and SARS, are they the same? So, mainstream research has hardly managed to replicate what are termed coronaviruses, so-called SARS virus is supposed to be one, in conventional cell cultures, as can be gleaned from the German Artsy Zeitung German newspaper. According to the orthodox virus theories, the suspected SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome virus, should be present in every patient and it should not be found in healthy individuals. But no studies confirm that this is the case. On the contrary, only very few SARS patients tested positive for the corona virus introduced as prime suspect right after SARS panic broke out, as reported in April 2003 at the first large global SARS conference in Toronto. Unfortunately, this information did not prompt orthodox medicine to ponder, if for a second, if the virus concept was really true. They're just too busy playing with their favorite toys, the molecular biological methods, above all with PCR, and so think that coronaviruses could be detected with them. So this is also taken from Virus Mania. This is from chapter 6, and it's called Hysteria on the Heels of AIDS, and BSE, which is a bovine spongiform encephalopathy, aka mad cow disease. So if you see here, it talks about just like the different viruses, and as you can see, the common cold is considered a coronavirus. So this is a video that was taken from YouTube, and you guys can look it up. It's according to Dr. Fauci, herbs do nothing or they harm you, because Tiffany Haddish interviewed him and she asked him about herbs. So of course he put it out that herbs can harm you if you take them. So you can actually look that up and just kind of watch that video on your own. Hey y'all, it's your girl Tiffany Haddish, and so this is the healing power of herbs. So this was a injury that my son received playing karate with a friend of his. So he was hit. He was kicked in the mouth with the karate kick, and I use what is plantain. As you can see, I put the plantain in the open wound because there was an open wound there, and I stuffed it with plantain. And as I would say 2 days later, then the picture on the right is how it started to heal. And then I also made a poultice of the plantain with the slippery elm to continue to put in his mouth. And on the left here, you see where it was like a flap of skin that grew and developed over that hole. And then eventually, because at first I thought that the flap of skin would just kind of be there and just kind of be extra skin, but actually it blended with his skin because the picture on the right shows that you would think nothing was there. So this is just additional more herbal medicine. Talks about just the different benefits and the uses of, or the different benefits from more herbal medicine. So we've come to our conclusion. And I call the conclusion here confidence in his creation. And the breakdown of our system is not because of the manufacturer, but because of unnatural foods and medicines that work against our body and our body systems, therefore breaking it down over time. Your body can handle any and all invaders it comes in contact with because of the network of organs, glands, and mucous membranes in place to ensure that no harm will come to you in the form of death. Your body works as a highly trained, sophisticated system and not of itself. Give your body proper nourishment to allow it to do its job. Work with your body, not against it. We don't have gills because we are not fish. There is nothing in your body that is useless. Everything you have in your body was designed to be there. Take the time to get to know your body and its needs. Don't rely on someone else's opinion about your body and health and what they think it needs to be better. So, time, endurance, and patience. Become an activist for your health.